Hello, this is Paul here, and I'm going to try showing retopology tricks with mechanical modeling in mind. And I think my example is going to be with car shapes, although this can apply to any mechanical stuff. So first I'm going to take this default cube here in Blender and select it and edit it, just to get a car shape going. So start here, this back, turn that big up. So this is like the box style of modeling I'm used to. And I'm sure most of you, if you're familiar with modeling, you know how this works. I could have probably saved you this step, but oh well. Object mode, and this is basically going to be your template. So get a shape, this kind of, and your modifier. Takes a little bit to set up, so it's alright. This is a car shape. Very generic, but you get the idea. And do something like this for your template, right? So you have this kind of shape for a car as your template, and say we want a wheel well or some such stick out of it too. Well, we add another shape for a template. So what I'm going to do is this here. That. And what they'll do is provide a shape for our wheel wells. So and you just leave it like this kind of. I know it's hard to get at first what's going on here. What you do is you have template like this. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look pretty as a car, and it's kind of cheapy. So this is going to be your template. I'm enjoying all this. So that's how you model your base of a car, and then you can go in a lot more detail. It's just on principle here. So this is the template. Said enough times, but fix it up here like that. So what we do next is we build the actual mesh for our car or whatever. It can be another vehicle. This works for airplanes too. Probably even bump up the subdivision one more. Doesn't matter, it just provides something smooth to go onto. So now, shift add and simple plane object. I tend not to use the shrink wrap as much as some people do, so I'm going to, it helps to have something selected, and I'm going to go in edit mode, and the main thing is to turn on the magnet, make it stick to that face, and generally you can toggle this one on and off. It's for projecting to other surfaces. If you're doing multiple vertices and you want them all to stick to the surface, you can turn that on, but if you're just aligning with an active vertex and you want them to stay in line, then you turn it off. But basically it's magnet snapping around, so I have this on now. See, it snaps to a surface. Also with this turned on and off, the behavior is slightly different in Snap, because one, if I have this turned off, see where my active cursor is, if I go to move this selection and I have active cursor, it automatically goes to where the cursor is. But if I turn it on and I hit G, then what it does is it does like in some other modes where the distance from the cursor allows you to adjust the speed it moves. And it does that, and you can hold down shift and do slow, small adjustments. So it's also handy for that. So what this allows you to do is, I'll turn that off for now, allows you to snap, so you build your template pretty close to your car model. So yeah, I know I'm using this generic one, but what this allows you to do is to establish the form or the volume of the vehicle you're doing. So this is, most people are familiar with Retopology as something done for organic models, like they'll sculpt a character or something like that. What I want to show here is that it's just as good for your mechanical models. So what it does is it allows you to establish form independently of your edge flows and your finished mesh. So what you do is you have something that whatever you're building is, it's a template for whatever you're building to stick upon. So when you're building your body panels and your door and everything else, you can establish the edge flow and you're not worried about, oh, this is sticking out this far or that far, and you get dents in your doors and you're trying to line up vertices and it's a real pain in the ass. So this trick makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to turn this thing back on so I can get more than one vertex to stick at a time and start extruding. And it's kind of crude now, so I'm going to have to fix a bit. But what you want for any protrusion or opening, you tend to want a loop to go around it. So for like this, where this wheel well will be is a bit of a protrusion. And you see the vertices just stick right to my template with using the magnet snapping. I don't have to be super perfect with this, we'll get close. And you can use this for modeling anything. You can follow like your modeling tutorials for other cars, which there are plenty of, and just do that way to build your template to establish it. So you can kind of skip out on our detail steps, save that for later, and you just build a template like so. You have loop here, loop there, and what you're doing is you're establishing a better geometry by having these edge flows go around openings. I'm not doing it to a specific count. You can, and it makes it a little easier to adjust your poly counts and stuff too if you're keeping track. I'm not in this case. And that's just the start of a wheel well, so yeah, no, I'm not a speed modeler, sorry. I could, but that's not the point of this video. You can see I am establishing edge flows here, roughly. And I can also do that trick too. So that's it. Just your edge flows control the tension and smoothing. I have smoothing turned on right now. And I could do this object and add a modifier for mirror. So it does it on both sides. Add a modifier for subdivision surface, but when I'm in editing mode, I just take that one off. And that it does is it turns it off in edit mode. But I can toggle it here, go into object mode. Excuse me. So you see the vertices stick real nice, so it allows me to establish forms. So, and you stick to my car, or the template for my car. Yeah, I know I'm doing it a little bit sloppy here, but that's okay. It's not exactly good, but okay. What you see, it sticks to the surface of the template. So I can establish various lines in a geometry, say if I want a swoop or a vent or a certain shape to the door, I can establish those lines and I'm not worried about where it's projecting on the mesh because I have that with the template. And normally with this it makes it easier because you can do parts like the door separate. So if I have this area here, which I know will be a door, eventually I can actually take these faces off or make them separate. So I could do something like this and then set it. And the door will be here somewhere, and I could just take out these faces. I could actually just, there's more than one way to do this trick. Delete faces, or maybe display that vertex. Oh, be you're ripping it. That's what I'm gonna do. And those bubbles I made are for doing this. It's hard to see because it's not showing through exactly, but if I turn on Xray mode, it can help. And you can see where it's kind of sticking to the surface a little better. And I can do stuff like this, where I'm just bringing it out as I want manually. And I have the F2 add-on, so I can add faces in this style. And I'm defining the wheel arch that way, and then see I have the form for the bolster to ride on, so it just sticks to it. That's why I made the bubbles or the spheres. So you can get that wheel arch, that fender flare. And for pretty much any opening you want a loop around it, so I have this edge flow here. What I'm going to do is I want a loop to go around where this door is. So what I can do is because this is an opening. You have openings, creases, and major surface transitions. You want loops around it. So, say this is a door panel here. Oops. So, I want yet another loop to go around this section. So what I can do is just select that chain of edges, extrude, and scale them a bit, and then hit G so it'll snap to the surface. So I'm leaving that magnet on. And we have a loop going around the door. So, of course, I can just bring this up as I want. This is really a generic version. When I'm making a real car, of course, I'm going to put a lot more effort into it. You know what I mean? XV. Or modeling a car seriously instead of just giving you an idea how it works. And see, there's like going to be a transition around the hood starts. So what I would do is bring in tighter edges to here. Bring them together tighter. This really is kind of sloppy here. And then for things like roof pillars, I try to have 2 loops together. Like one loop for the front window and then one loop for the side, and it goes in the door. So I have usually a separation loop too. So this starts to transition onto the surface of the hood. And this would probably need to be tighter because that pulling it up that high is going to have some weird stuff in the edge. What I'm saying is, use a template and you model that like most other cars or box modeling. And you don't have to worry about the detail. So what you're doing is defining volume. And you see I have edges here that for this flare I was talking about earlier. And you just follow the contour of the template. So I'm not even worried about that part. And you can model pretty quick this way once you get the hang of it. I think for some people this is their secret sauce. If you're wondering how people model cars that look really good, really fast, this is the way to do it. Like, no, don't give away the secret. Yeah. Oh well. It's not that hard. Control C. Yeah. So it's not as hard as you would have thought. But it does take a lot of patience, and you still gotta practice to get an idea what constitutes good edge flow. Like I said, if you have major surface transitions, you want a loop to go around it. Major openings, you want a loop to go around it. And I would do the same for the back wheel. I think you may cut this short. I'll just bring this up here for the roof pillar, to start of a roof pillar. Like I said, you want a loop for the windows on both sides. So it usually works a little bit better if you have a surface of edges in between, unless it's really thin or something. So bring this up. And sometimes it's hard to tell with the X-ray on, so you can turn it off too. And this still shows good enough. And so then this loop would start going this way to define a door opening, and then this loop would start going this way for the windshield. And you fill in and do whatever it takes to fill out the roof shape. And same with the door panels, like this door should actually have a loop going around it, so if I were to do this and set it, great, that adds a loop, but Ooh, that mesh is a little funky here. Fix that. And if something's not snapping to the surface, like if it's being weird and the magnet doesn't seem like it snapped to surface in operation, what you do is kind of showed you there, but if I select all of the verts on that, and if I just hit G and don't move it, but just hit G and let the mouse float over it, and click, the magnet will snap it to the surface for all this stuff. So if you see something where it looks like it's poking through or it doesn't seem like it's snapped to a surface, that's one of the tricks you can do in this particular workflow. Alright, obviously I'll bring stuff in a line a little better. Get an idea here, and I can go to knife tool and there and there. And rid of these edges here. Oops. Alright. It's not doing it that way. I can do it this way. There's more than one way to skin a cat in the software. So now I have this loop and I bring it up here. You can see it's just sticking to the surface. And the nice thing about this is if you have enough density in your mesh, you're not worried about your vertices lining up with each other either. It kind of takes a lot of that out. I mean, there's still some of it. It depends on your like I said, the polygon density. So if you're running really low polygon density, it still helps to line up your vertices so you don't get the weird creases. But with a higher density mesh, it's going to start becoming less and less. Put an edge here. Help define the windshield boundary, and these vertices now, I need to snap them down. I want some edge flows because this is starting to crease over where the hood is. So there's a surface transition there. And I want to make that a quad, so something can do it like that. This isn't going to be a planar quad though, so I might also do that because it'll help to find out. So now I have a loop to go around the bottom, see? So I can do this. And it's looking pretty thick for a pillar, but I can thin it up, make it skinnier. And you can do this with aircraft and stuff too. It doesn't have to be cars or robots or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities. Turn my mirroring back on in some area. Kind of, sort of. I don't know why it's not showing. But I think you kind of get the idea what I'm doing here, so. But use the template. Makes things a lot easier because now you have a surface to snap to. And you can always add more details to your template to snap to, but then when you don't need a surface snap, you can turn the magnet on and then just say I want to add a scoop here or something. What I can do is go here and rip that panel open there like so or something. So now I have a vent or something, but if I need to bring something back down to a surface, I can, hold on, let me cut it. Here, hold on, oh, I gotta pause my video. At least for you guys it was quick. I just had to check some things real quick. And, that's why I don't do too many videos. If you notice, there's always something going on at home. So, see, you have this part here now that it added this new feature, this vent here. Say I want to tighten it up. And normally you'd have to do is draw some things or something to adjust it and push and pull, and it'd be kind of a pain in the butt. But now I can do is I have a surface I can snap to. I can just turn the magnet on and bring that down, and now these will go to the surface. So let's see, maybe I want to add edges or something. And I can snap them together. Oh, let's face this way. Well, stuff like that, but if you do it on the vent, you don't want to magnet move that because it's now sticking out. Stuff like that. Go object mode, and so now I have this surface, and I can just turn off the template. You can see you have the start of the car body, and you can do that as like one unit or different pieces or whatever. You can see how the blender flares stick out and follow the template of those spheres that were sticking out. And you can add a little bit more detail in them to tighten up the edges. And it gives you a good edge flow without having, you're just focusing on the edge flow because your volume was defined by your template. That's what I was trying to show you here. So I'm not going to spend all day building the whole car, but here you go, you got the idea of how it works, and that is a retopology style workflow for your mechanical models, and it just makes a lot of things so much easier. So you can just bring your loops around, and then loops around surface transitions, edges that run along folds or creases, loops that go around openings, and that's it. So when you model your template, you're not worried about the openings. You save all those for your surface modeling. Okay, hope that makes sense, and that will be that.